All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Behind the Visual, where I interview all those people responsible for creating those pictures and images, videos you see out in your world. Pictures and images would be the same thing, more or less. But anyway, where you see the images and the videos you see in your world every day, I'm talking to those people who create them or a part of them. And I'm your host, advertising and lifestyle photographer, Mark Hansen. And today, my guest is Griselda Sanchez, and she is a social media manager at BBDO. And Griselda is fun to talk to. She has a ton of energy. She's excited about her job. She loves her job. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about her first big campaign, which was for Got Milk, and she was sent on her own to handle it. And she did a great job. She was very happy about it. So she's from Mexico, and she has lived in France. She lives in New York at the moment. Speaks 3 languages. Her dream was to go to New York and get a job, and that girl made it happen immediately. She talked about NFTs and music and how Bacardi has worked with that and is embracing that. So we talk about her favorite project she's been on recently, and that involves Bacardi, and that actually involves Bacardi and the NFTs. So check this one out. I think you guys are really going to like it. It got a lot of info in here, especially if social media manager or that type of thing is something you would be interested in. This is a cool thing to listen about. I learned a lot. So yeah, lots of fun on this one. So check this one out and let me know what you guys think. Like it, thumbs up it, subscribe to it, comment it, all that kind of stuff. And I look forward to hearing everybody's opinion on this one. Okay, so tell me about growing up. Where did you grow up? How did you get to where you are? That kind of thing. I'm assuming you didn't grow up wanting to, be a social media manager, producer kind of person, because, I don't think you can go to school for that. So where did you grow up and how did this all come about?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Mexico until my teenage years. Then I went to boarding school in France. After that, I went to Boston for college. I attended Boston University, and eventually I moved to New York to start my career in advertising.
How many languages do you speak?
3. I
3?
speak English, Spanish, and French.
Oh, wow. How was boarding school in France?
It was amazing. It was a completely different experience because I had only lived in Mexico my entire life. And when you're a teenager, it's like all of these changes and in another country. And I also, when
Yeah.
I moved there, I couldn't speak any French. Like I had taken classes in school, but I knew how to say the basics. Like my name is Griselda and I love chocolate. That was my
Right.
only, and can I have an apple? Those were like my 3 things. But then, and I was expecting boarding school to have international kids, and I was like, oh, I might be able to speak English or Spanish. No, it was all French people. So I think I got it pretty fast. Like in 3 months, I understood what
Wow.
they were saying. And around 6, I was starting to speak it. I think it was more of, since I was a teen, I wasn't really scared of like making any mistakes and just like saying the phrase. And if you understood, good. And if not, well, bad for you.
Right.
It was also very cool to be with teenagers because at that time, they're not afraid to tell you when you're making a mistake. They will be
Yeah.
like, oh no, you said that in future. And now being an adult, if you make a mistake in another language, like people understand it, but they don't actually correct you. So I think
Right.
it was the time to be there because people would correct me. And then it was also an era where there was still no iPhones. We were still in like the iPod Touch. So we would
Yeah.
not have Wi-Fi at school, like to connect. So it was really face to face. And I really had to, be in a room with all of these French people and interact. Otherwise, I would not be talking to anybody. And I feel like right now, if I went there, if I felt uncomfortable, maybe I would pull my phone and like pretend to be doing something.
Yep.
And I was in the right time to not have all of these like things in your hand when you can act that you're doing something else. You really had to interact. So yeah, I learned French. Math and French was definitely hard.
I bet.
But yeah, and it was funny because so it was my second language after Spanish was English, but since I was not practicing in France, I would forget some words in English. And now that I speak English all the time, I really have to practice French to
Yeah.
keep reminding me of it. Like I listen to music in French, watch movies in French. Spanish, of course, I will never be like, oh my God, how do you say this word? My mom would
Right.
kill me. But for these others two, I do have to practice.
Yeah, we were just talking
So
about that
yeah,
on set yesterday. Because we were doing a shoot with power tools, and
yeah.
we had a woman using a trimmer or blower or something. I don't remember what it was, but she didn't speak any English. And I was talking to my assistant, and I said, I took French in high school. I said, I really should have taken Spanish. It would have been a lot better to do. And he said, what, do you think you're going to be some famous French fashion photographer? I was like, I don't know. I just really thought it would be cool. I said, but it wouldn't but it doesn't make any difference because there's nobody around for me to speak French to. So
Yes.
you lose it all if you don't. So
Yeah,
I
if
totally
you don't
get it.
practice, you lose it. That's definitely true. But yes, I think that just like different and living in different countries and speaking different languages really allowed me to connect with people on a deeper level. Like being able to speak to them in their language and understand their jokes or just those little things helped me really connect with people on a deeper level. And I think that now I like to believe that it helps me understand people better and humanize them.
Yeah.
And in my job, that is like super helpful because I want to understand the consumers and navigate the world we occupy, which every day is more globalized and international. So I think that I am definitely very lucky to speak several languages. And I try my best to just keep practicing. And if possible, I would love to learn another language, maybe Italian or Portuguese, just because it's similar to Spanish and French.
Right.
So I think I can pick it up faster.
Oh, yeah. I wish I knew. I keep thinking I'm going to start learning Spanish, and I just haven't done it yet. Um, Maybe at some point I'll try and make that a priority. But I'm
Yes,
lucky
listen to
enough
music.
that I usually have assistants who do. So
Yeah.
one of my assistants, he was talking to the makeup artist. We were on a shoot in Miami, and they were just talking and talking and talking. And I looked and was like, dude, English. I don't understand a damn thing you're saying. He said, man, unless you hear the word gringo, don't you worry about it. You're all right. I was like, okay.
Yes, it's amazing. And you honestly get to connect with so many people, like with by just saying a Spanish word to somebody that speaks Spanish, it's like, oh, I already like you more.
All right. Well, see, now you're making me okay. I'm gonna put that up on the top of my priority list of things to do. How long were you in France?
So in high school, in Mexico, it's just 3 years.
Yeah.
So I did most of it there, and then I came back just to finish it too, so that I would have like the graduation of Mexico because I didn't do the back, which is like an exam that French people do to then go to college because I wasn't sure
Okay.
that I wanted to stay there for college. I wasn't sure what I wanted to study yet, and
What did you study?
I studied advertising.
Okay.
And I focused on, well, I studied communication, but I focused on art advertising and art history. So I was very artsy,
Yeah.
but more so in like what goes behind the artistic process. And, I always was very attracted to art and going to museums. And, especially growing up in Mexico, like all of these amazing buildings, the colors, the folklore, and it's like a very hybrid art with pre-Hispanic art and then more contemporary. So I was very interested in that. And just like, the architecture, like even movies, like all of the art, I was always very drawn to it. Even though I'm not artsy at all. I can't draw anything.
Really?
I'm terrible at, yeah. But I always liked it a lot. So when I was deciding what I wanted to study, I was actually between international relations and communication. But when you're sorry, like in my street, New York,
It's
they're
all right.
honking like crazy. But what was I saying? Yes, that
Between
oh,
communications
I was
and
between those two. And when you're younger, people are always telling you like careers that are more artsy, when you graduate, it's harder to find a job. So I was scared because of that. But then I was in international relations. I actually started that, and I was there for a week, and I was, no, I want communication. I knew it in my heart. And luckily, my parents were very supportive, and they always told me, when you study something that you like, you're going to get a job. And if you love the job that you're doing, you're not going to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Which is not very true.
Right.
You still have to work a lot, but it does have a truth in it, where if I'm like working until late or working very hard on something, it's not like I'm not sick of it just because I'm so passionate about it that I really like it. So it does have a truth in it.
If you do, I agree. If you do something that you like, at least you don't walk in, it's still going to be work, but at least you don't walk into work every day going, I hate my job. I hate my job. I just,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like if it had something to do with math, I would cry every single day. And no. Math and me, two opposites.
Yeah. Me too. Math and science. I am not a math or a science person. I took the same math class. I think it was basically the same class 3 times. So I think I took it in high school. I took Algebra 2 trig in high school, failed the trig part, had to take it over again. Then I'm pretty sure I took almost the exact same class my freshman year in college and failed that. So actually I took it 4 times and then had to take it again. So yeah, I'm not a math person.
Yeah, no, neither.
So you went to college, you get your degree.
Yes.
Had you done any internships or anything, or did you just know exactly where you wanted to go as soon as you graduated and went and tried to do it?
So I first started communications, and I didn't know still what I wanted to focus on: advertising, journalism. I was PR. I was between like those. And I started taking classes on advertising. And I just thought, this is so interesting because it's a way where you can communicate with people in a way that, you're showing them images that they will eventually be seeing. So you can do so much change with that, and like show diversity, representation in ways that people don't even know they're being shown this. So I just thought it was very interesting. And I thought that there's so much you can do with this career. And it was just like a perfect mix of, creativity and art, and but also like account and brands, strategy. So all of these things I was very interested in. Then journalism. Each day I was like, oh, I don't know. Like I had to write so many essays in college that I was like, do I want to write for my entire career? I don't know. And then PR. Also, I really liked PR, but at the end, advertising was the one I decided. And then when I was in school, I wanted to be an art director and work more on the creative side in agencies. But after that, when I graduated, I saw like everybody's portfolios and they were incredible. And I was like, there's no way I can compete with all of these things. And to this day, so after that, I started looking for jobs in account. And to this day, I think that was the best decision, because my first job, I started as account, and it just allowed me to see what every other person does in the agency, like strategy, creatives, producers. And I feel like if I would have started in the creative side, I would have just stayed there. And eventually you do see what everybody else does, but in accounts, you can definitely like see it closer and decide what route you want to take. So, yeah.
So when you went into the accounts thing, is BBDO the first place you've worked?
No. So it's funny because I graduated from Boston University, and I just came to New York with a dream. Like I want to work in an ad agency, and I would come and like go to Times Square and tell my friends and family, like, one day you're going to see one ad of me here. You're going to see it. And I'm sure of it. So I really came to New York, to the place where like all of the ads are everywhere. And it's just like a dream. So I just had a dream, but it was also hard because, you're alone in another country. My family is far. And I would sometimes doubt in myself, like, am I ready for a job like everybody is going to, especially in advertising with portfolios and all of those things, I would doubt myself. But luckily, my family's very, very supportive, and they're very good at championing and, you know, grounding me, like, no, you can't do this. Like, you've done so many things now. And I was like, okay. And then my brother, we studied together in Boston, and then he was in New York at the time, which was amazing because he's literally my biggest supporter and my column. Like, we do everything together. I adore him. And he was just like, you have to fight for your dream, and you have to do it because also as international students, you only have a year after you graduate to work. Like, really? You have a permit, you just have 1 year. So it was very scary to not find a job or to find a job like maybe 6 months after, and you only have 6 months to work. Yeah. And in some agencies, they don't take you because it's like, oh no, 6 months, no. So it was very scary, but luckily I got a job right after. I maybe applied to 60 jobs per day. Wow. But then I got an interview at TBWA. That one was the first agency I worked in. And right after the interview, they told me, yeah, when can you start? Like, they interviewed me, they hired me on the spot, and I was so excited. Yes, I walked outside like listening to "It's Up to You, New York."
Yeah.
Like walking in Madison Avenue, I felt like in a movie. I was in the clouds. So yeah, that one was my first job in an agency, and I'm very lucky that it was TBWA because it was huge, and like I had learned about it in school and everything. So yeah,
that's really cool. Wow. Yeah, I graduated and ended up living at home for 6 months. And I have a degree in advertising, but I did the same thing. I went as a PR, and then ended up changing to advertising, and now I just do photography. So I don't think I use my degree at all, but I have it. So there's that. So when you got there, were you working? So what, day one at TBWA, what was that like going straight from college, getting hired and straight away, and then coming into work for the first day?
It was so nerve-wracking because in college I didn't do internships. I worked with a lot of like things in school, like, you know, the ad club and things like that, but I had never been like in a real office. Like, I went and bought all of my outfits for, you know, like Now Professional. Like, I was like at Banana Republic, like I need to buy everything.
Right.
And I was just like so nervous. I didn't really know how to interact, or like, you know, I would just be saying sorry for every single thing I did. Like, I arrived 2 minutes late and I was like, sorry. And everyone like, no, you don't need to say sorry. And it was also a place where I felt that I like grew up a lot, because my first job, definitely, I think I wouldn't talk a lot about like my opinions or say my ideas. I would be scared to, you know, sound stupid or to ask the wrong question. So I think, like, for example, in BBDO, now I'm super happy because I feel like here it's the place where I really found my voice, and I really found like a way to express myself, because I'm super lucky to have an amazing team that really trusts me, and I trust them as well, so much. So it's just like this safe space where I don't feel like whatever I ask will be stupid. You know, there's this phrase that it's like, there's no stupid questions, just stupid people that don't ask.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that last part.
In Spanish, it exists. I don't know if it's.
Well, I've heard it, except I've always heard there are no stupid questions, just stupid people. But I like that don't ask. See, everybody always ends it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's stupid people that don't ask. So if you don't ask, you'll never learn. And I think that here I truly found my voice, and that's why I'm so excited right now in this point of my career, because it does take you longer. And also I feel it's cool to have a diverse team, because sometimes I have an accent. So I would be like, oh no, I'm going to sound stupid if I say something, or like I will say the wrong word. Like, I didn't really think of this question before. And when you have a diverse team, like, other people have accents too. So you feel more natural, you know? And here it's just like, oh, what is this word? And I sometimes say words in Spanish and people understand it. And it's like a lot of things like, oh, now we speak Griselda's language, because I just put like words in there and like, you know? And you get to know your team so great, and you connect so well that at the end you're speaking the same language. It's like, what is this word? And like somebody jumps in, oh, this, oh, perfect, thank you.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, so I feel like that's like my big difference between my first agency and now. But at TBWA, I also found great friends that are now my New York friends, because it was my first job, and it was just like I didn't know anybody in New York. So I think we still talk, and even though I don't think anybody is still there of the people that I worked with,
Yeah.
but we still see each other a lot, and I made really great friendships there.
That's very cool. How long did you work there?
I worked there for a year for
Oh,
my
wow.
year permit that I had.
Yeah. So how does that
And
work?
then
So when your year permit ends, what's the process of making sure that you get to stay and keep working?
yes, so after that, it's like that is like a free permit for to work for a year.
Okay.
So when that finishes, the agency has to sponsor you or like help you with a visa. And in TBWA, they didn't do that for junior people.
Oh, wow.
So then I had to leave, and I literally packed all of my things. I was going back to Mexico. And for this, at this time, my brother, he was in LA already working. And I just went with him like for my last 2 weeks with literally my life in 2 bags,
Oh,
everything in two
wow.
bags. I had to throw everything away. Like, those, a beautiful mirror I bought in Target that I adored, I had to throw
Oh,
it away. And when I was there, I had a job interview for Campbell Ewell, which was my second agency. There I worked for Got Milk, but for the
oh, yeah.
Hispanic, right? Like the Hispanic campaigns. And there they called me for an interview, and I told them I need a visa. I can fly to the interview, but if you don't do visas, then I don't like no.
Right.
And they were like, no, if we like you, of course we will do it. So that was an amazing news. I flew to New York. I stayed at a friend's couch,
Were you
went
in
to the
LA?
interview. I was in LA with my brother,
Also,
and
you're in
I
LA,
just
so then you flew to New York.
yeah, I
Okay,
flew to
gotcha.
New York. With just like a little bag
Yeah.
to come here for the interview and hopefully be able to stay. And I interviewed with them, and they really wanted somebody that could write and speak perfect Spanish to like review like the campaigns, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be translations, but it would be like transcribed. So whatever made sense for the Hispanic market without it seeing like, oh, this person Google translated and it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
terrible. So I was the perfect fit. And here was when I like switched into social. This job was more like social and PR. And I really liked it. And I was there for like a year and a half. And after that, I moved to BBDO full social. And now that's what I do.
Okay. So what exactly, I'll tell you, I'll come back to that. What was your first big project that had you nervous, that made you a little nervous or a little freaked out, or even if it's maybe not even that, but it was just like, wow, I get to work on this or whatever it was. What would be your first
Yes.
one?
So my first big project like that was when I was in Campbell Ewald in the Got Milk account. We were interviewing Al Horford, who at the time was playing at the Boston Celtics. But my boss was out, so I went alone, and it was like my first shoot, and I was super nervous, and with this big celebrity, and I had to interview him to get like content capture for like the Spanish markets. So I interviewed him in Spanish, and it actually ended up great, but I was so nervous. I was alone,
Yeah.
and it was like a huge thing. It wasn't like a little, oh yeah, go and take pictures of this. No, it was
Right.
big. So that one was my first nerve-wracking one. And I think these experiences are great because they kind of break you. Once you do this, it's like, oh, okay, now I can do anything else.
Yep.
So it was just like I came back to the office and I was like, here's the contents capture I got. I interviewed him and I asked him all these things. And he actually talked a lot about milk. So it's amazing. We got everything. But obviously at the moment I was dying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I would have been too. But yeah, it's amazing how you do
Mm-hmm.
those things. I remember my first shoot on a beach. I'd never shot on a beach before. I didn't even when they I called to get equipment, and the guy was there. I was like, my wife had said maybe you should get some umbrellas to keep the sun off of people. And I said, okay, because it was for magazines, so there was no producer budget in there. And so the guy said, "You mean like white scrim umbrellas?" I went, "I don't know, man. I just need an umbrella." I had no idea what he was even talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the shoot came out great. Yeah, so once you do it, then you're like, yay.
That. You're thrown into the wolves, and it's like, okay, no, what is it? Either I swim or I drown.
Yeah, I think
And
as long as you
Mark?
prepare, as long as you're confident, you can prepare, you do it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Oh, taxes. Do you have to pay taxes in the U.S. and in Mexico?
Yes,
I really?
do. Yeah, it's.
Ow.
I know.
God. Is there ever a time where you won't have to do that, or would you have to become like an American citizen not to do that?
No, I think like here, as long as I live here, I will have to pay for them.
Yeah.
In Mexico, I don't really pay taxes because I don't work there.
Right.
So I don't, from my own money. No, my parents do, but
okay.
I don't because I don't work there.
Yeah, I didn't know how that works because sometimes I've heard people they'll go and work in Italy and they get taxed here somehow, and I don't know how that works. Or I heard if you play in a Super Bowl that you get taxed for whatever county or state the Super Bowl's in, and they take out taxes, and then the place where you live takes out taxes, and then the federal government takes out taxes. So these dudes make like whatever they make, $250,000 bonus or whatever playing the Super Bowl, and then they get taxed like crazy from everybody on it.
Yeah.
So
yes, all of those things are crazy, especially like learning taxes. And insurance in the US has been like the most complicated things because you're also like becoming into an adult, so you don't really know all of those things. Plus, in another country, it was just like so confusing.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I have a guy who does it for me. he does a pretty good job. So okay, so now you're doing all social. Is there a big difference between account exec and social media manager that you're doing now? Is that a big difference in jobs?
Yes, 100%. So my first account job, that was in TBWA, it was also weird because it was account, but the New York office wasn't producing like a lot of ads. It was more reviewing the ads of other markets. So from Thailand, from Mexico, from South Africa. So it was reviewing their job and like their creations and sharing with the creatives in New York. And then if it was approved in New York, we would present it to the client in Japan. Okay. So it was like very different to, a normal account here in which you just work with producers, produce an ad or whatever. This one was very different. So I think for that, it's completely different to what I do now. And I would also see campaigns close to completion almost. I wouldn't see the entire process. So I think for that, I just like really wanted to see the process. So my account experience was different because of that. And then here, I think that doing social work, it's perfect. It's literally what I love because it's this sweet balance between creatives and account. And I get to share ideas and I get to hear ideas from every part of like each team, strategy, accounts, producers, creatives. And this job is also client facing. So as accounts, so it's really a very sweet balance that I adore, and being able to bring my different experiences makes just the job more enjoyable. And then it's also very cool, this one that I'm doing, because I get to work with amazing clients. I honestly am so happy with the clients that I have because they're very, very passionate. So they really listen to the ideas that we have and are very bold with their decisions, which is very excited for the team because you feel free and more liberated to really share everything that you have instead of, no, maybe they will not like this idea, they will not approve it. These clients are very bold and I love that. We just have like a great partnership that allows a lot of innovation, and it's amazing. And I also love working more on social because I think account is more like repetitive, and you do the same thing, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
And I think here it allows me to be more curious, that I've always been very curious, and I love like searching for trends or what might be trending, that I feel, oh, this is gonna be a big splash. And in social, you're also working at the speed of culture, which is super cool. You never stop learning, every day is
Yeah.
changing. So I think I really like social more than account.
So does social have its own shoots, its own budget, all that kind of stuff? So or are you riding along with, say, I don't know who, but just say some client does a big campaign and they set up a shoot for that. Do you guys just ride along and then shoot the social almost the same kind of thing to work with it? Or do you come up with your own, like, hey, I know you guys are doing this, but I think for social, it would be much cooler or much better if we
Yeah.
kind of tweaked it and did this thing over here?
So we do both.
Okay.
We have, for some campaigns, we also create social assets that are specific for social, not just like the same stuff, but specific for social. And we also do just like content just for social, videos for social, or a very cool shoot that we just had in Cartagena was just for social content. So it's amazing because you think what would work better in social, what works better for this platform.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. So where's the coolest place you've been so far?
I think Cartagena, Colombia was my favorite shoot, and it was just amazing because I had never been in Colombia, and it was just like my big social shoot. It was a long shoot as well, and Cartagena is just so Pinterest and pretty. And there we also had different locations and different settings for each like occasion that we would be shooting. So it was just incredible all over. We also went with one of the clients that I really admire. So I think in that shoot, I really had some time to learn from her and bond, which was amazing. And my boss told me this. I also have like a very fond memory to it because my boss told me this phrase that like now I keep in the back of my head all the time. And I was just so happy. It was doing amazing. We had the dream team. I was seeing like like the images you see on social media and these images that you just see the final thing.
Yeah.
The whole process that goes behind, the planning of months, and in that time, like the set, how it's prepared, designers, just like the magic, I got to see there the magic. So then I was so happy, and I remember I told my boss, from now on, the sky is just the limit. And he looked at me and he goes, "Oh no, what are you talking about? The sky is just the view." And I was like, "Oh my God, I love that." I now like think of that phrase, and I try to live up to it every day. And I always
I
remember
like that.
I'm down, it's just the sky is just the view.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before. I like that. That's very cool. All right. Okay. So how many on average are you doing? Like, do you have multiple clients going on every month, or you concentrate more on like one or two clients or one client at a time and then move to the next one? Or are you working with multiple clients doing multiple things every month, or does it vary?
So I work with multiple brands. So I work with Bacardi, Bombay Sapphire, Saint Germain, Tequila Cazadores, and Duars. So alcohol brands, but different personalities.
Yeah.
And for this is actually something cool because I think that each brand has such different personalities. So I try to like match part and pieces of myself into them. The strategy team came up with this super cool idea when we're talking about a brand or like trying to plan for a strategy of what we're going to do next. It's called like what's in your bag. So it's looking at the target and thinking like, what would this person have in their bag? So kind of like, again, humanizing the
Yeah.
consumer, really thinking, okay, so they have this, and you can just like by seeing what somebody has in their bags, you can see so much of their personality. So I think that's a great exercise that we do. And
so that's kind of like the advertising version of sitting across from people in a restaurant and going, what's their story between
yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
yeah, I like it.
So it's very interesting. And so, for example, when I'm working on ideas for what their social should be or what we should do on social, I try to put pieces on this. So, for example, Saint Germain, it's a French brand. So I tried to go back to, my memories of my friends in France, to the family I stayed with, to the magic of like their aperitifs and like just the romance of it. And that's one example. For tequila cazadores, well, that one is not very hard because tequila in Mexico is in my
Yeah.
blood, so like that. So it's super cool to work with different personalities because I can also grab different personalities of myself and just like put them into each brand.
It sounds like you're the perfect person for what you're working on right now. Get a lot of free alcohol. Do they give you free samples?
We do get some samples, which is amazing. And I have gifts to give my family for Christmas.
Yeah.
They already know what I'm going to give them.
Somebody was telling me one time they did a shoot and they needed, I can't remember it, but it was like thousands of like airport bottles of vodka, and they had to use for the shoot and just like put it all in the shot. So, and then they had to just get rid of it. I think they couldn't give it away. So they ended up having to dump it all out or something because they weren't allowed to give it to anybody.
Play with it.
That sounds like a waste to me. So with social media and all that, how much of what you do involves hiring, say, the photographer or the director, or are you hiring influencers, that kind of a thing?
Yes, we are continuously trying to innovate and work with new people to, diversify the industry, because social is like that and the world is like that. Yeah. So our goal is to really bring value behind the content, and diversity brings so much to the table. Also, I think me as a diverse person in the group, I always try to opening the door for more people like me. And it's just the company is so good at that, and that's why I love my job so much. And we have this huge platform, so to not use it and to not hire like the right people would just be such a waste. So yeah, I think we definitely are always in search of new people and new talent.
Do you get emails constantly from photographers and directors and all that, like little promo pieces and that kind of thing? Or are you lucky enough not to be on a list?
No, we do. And more influencers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of what you've been doing lately have you been using, say, influencers for, as opposed to people who just do it professionally and aren't influencers necessarily?
I think it's really a balance. We really use both depending on the campaign, and I think each of them connect. How do I put this? Like each of them give value to each other. Like I don't think that just like one more or the other. I think right now how the world is, like they both complement each other. So I think we definitely use both.
So say, I know that I've heard this a lot from models, that they're being asked now what their Instagram following is. So if you go to hire a director or a photographer or whoever, not an influencer, and you have two, say, that are basically the same, you like them both, their styles are exactly what you need for the campaign coming up, do you guys look at Instagram followings, that kind of thing? Okay, well, this one has 2,000 followers, this one has 20,000 or 200,000. Let's go with the dude or the girl, the guy with 200,000 over the 2,000 one.
I really think that it's more based on, for example, for influencers, yes.
Oh yeah.
Because that's important. But I think for other, like for example, a photographer, it wouldn't mean that just like their following number would be better than the other just because of the following. I think it's really taken into consideration the talent and what like the value we need to bring from each of these.
Right. That makes sense, because it probably, you don't want to pick the photographer with 200,000 followers if he or she is a complete nightmare to work with that you've heard. And then you go, but they have
Yeah.
200,000 followers or 500,000 followers or whatever it is. Let's get them. So yeah, and especially if you go on like these 8, 9, 10-day shoots or something like that, that would be god awful. Okay. So tell me so far, what has been your favorite shoot project that you've been on?
So right now, we worked on this super cool project called Music Liberates Music, which is an ongoing program by Bacardi that champions underrepresented voices in the music industry. And for this year, it was focused on the crazy fact that only 2% of the music producers are women. So
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
So Bacardi and Boy Wonder got together to, handpick these three amazing artists that were Perfection, Denise Dion, and Bambi, and finish and work together on a track. They had this summer, they had sessions where they had one-on-one conversations and just finished the track to Caribbean inspired, super amazing tracks. You should listen to them. But the interesting part of this is that these tracks were connected to an NFT. So they were made with an NFT, and people were able to buy this NFT. And by buying it, they were investing in their song as well, because it would also give them royalties to the song. And it's really, truly to, put power back into the hands of the artist and their fans. They were auctioned as limited edition tracks and launched on an NFT marketplace called Sturdy Exchange.
Okay.
So then the users that would invest would get this Fanvestor kit that included the NFT and the royalties. So the more the song was streamed and the more the song plays, it's giving back to the artist and also the person that invested.
Did you have a
And
certain amount of people that were allowed to invest in the NFT of it? Did you cap it at a certain level, or is it just whoever?
no. It was, I don't really know the number, but it was just like,
So
there
it
was
was,
a cut.
yeah, there was
Not
a
everybody.
cutoff line. Okay.
So then, yeah, as I was saying, this first to market model was super important for the talent that at the start of their career, and also like helping them to create a connection with their fans on a deeper level, because
Yeah.
you both have like part of your royalties, plus it's helping you, expand on a bigger level. So I think this was very groundbreaking and like, just changing the game, and very interesting. The NFT market right now, it's something that people should explore. And I think, as I was telling you, I think Bacardi is a very bold brand that just moves in the speed of culture, and that's amazing and very exciting to work with and to be able to be part of these super cool campaigns. I just love it.
Yeah, that's very. So where can you hear the song, and what's it called? Do you know?
On Spotify, the songs are called, Denise Dion Call is called Juice.
All right.
Then Perfection is called On the Way. And the Bambi song is called Nice with a Y.
Okay. Cool. All right, I will check them out for sure. But yeah, thank you. This was good. I learned a lot. And I thought I knew a lot already, but I learned a lot.
It's cool. And I think it's also amazing to, in social, we really truly try to bring value into every post that we have and bring value into everything that we do, because I think people are just giving us so much of like a big responsibility, because if they're already following us and if they want to see what we are posting, they're inviting us into their lives by inviting us into their screens and into their phones. So we really want to give back with like amazing posts and great value. And especially right now in a world where imagery and there's so much information and there's just so much to look at. I think being able to give value and to really do a storytelling and bridge companies with consumers by, anecdotes and storytelling is amazing. And I think social allows that. And I would like to still continue to explore this. And maybe we'll talk in a few years and I'll have more stories to tell you.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I don't doubt that at all. Okay, so since it is social, a last question and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
How often are you guys shooting something new to put up on social? Because I know social doesn't, it's not like it's not like necessarily a campaign where you shoot it and that's going to be your campaign for the next 3 months to a year. It pops up on your screen. Are you guys are you having to churn out a lot more and at a lot faster pace and keep doing it? Or are you guys kind of try and shoot, say, a bunch at one time, and then at least you have a little bit of a break to start planning for the next group?
Yeah, so for example, the photo shoot we did in Cartagena, we got a lot of content for different occasions to have in our library. And then we also do videos for, cocktail videos, but we are constantly, researching what is people looking for, what are the cocktails that people would like to have right now. And, so it's constantly research and it's constantly, moving along with culture. And sometimes there might be something that happened one day. I don't know, in the Grammys, they said mojito. So we'll do a reactionary post about that. So it's really staying alert and following and creating, innovating. It's just like so much and so. I don't know how to put this. It's like so much happening that you have to react very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have shoots to have in our library and to have planning and strategy, but sometimes there comes a wave and you have to change your strategy. Sometimes, it's always evolving. It's never a dull moment, let me tell you.
I'm sure not.
It's
yeah.
never a dull moment. So
sounds exhausting to me. Just to keep up with it all.
I know, but if you really like it, I'm telling you, you don't have to work a day in your life.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. And you seem like you have the energy for it, which is good. Yeah, because all I'm thinking is, oh my God, okay, if I do the shoot, say I go on a shoot and then we come back from the shoot, I'm ready to start working on the next one, but I won't sit down to go, okay, well, we're going to start planning the next shoot for this next brand or the same brand or whatever. But I also need to check out social media here and see what's happened while we were gone, what's happened last night, what's happened. Did somebody, like you said, did somebody at the BMAs mention, hey, I love mojitos and that's blowing up. So sounds like a ton of work, but if you love it, that's all that matters.
Yes, it is. And I'm constantly, seeing what's going on. And I like to stay up with my content.
Yeah.
Right now, for example, I haven't seen the last movies that are out in the movie theater. I have to stay up and step it up with my content. So that if I see a little, I don't know, a little joke on social media or something, it's like, oh, I know what they're talking about. They are not keeping me out of this joke.
That's good, because usually I see it and then I go, what the hell's that mean? So then I have to go Google it and look it up and go, oh, like my daughter just told me the other day, she's in college at UNC Chapel Hill, and I said, how was your day? She said, it was great. I just went and saw Sister Cindy, and then we went to the Basketball Hall of Fame. I went, who's Sister Cindy? And she's do you know who she is?
Sister Sandy?
Cindy. Okay, so you don't know who she is either. Okay,
I
feel better. Okay, I feel a lot better now. She is some old chick who her and her husband go to college campuses and preach to the kids, like just out on the lawn, to be a ho no mo.
Oh, no, I had no idea of this.
Yeah, she said it was very funny and very interesting. So if you get a chance, go look up Sister Cindy.
Yes,
She's on TikTok. She's like millions of followers on TikTok or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's all about don't be a hoe. Yeah. Yeah. At least I feel better. You hadn't heard about her. Okay, that's good. Griselda, thank you. I appreciate it. This was very cool. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun.
Mark, thank you so much for having me. Me too. I had a lot of fun.